Welcome to the Legal Tech Insider presented by Blushark Digital. Dive into the latest and greatest technology with industry leaders to help bring your firm to the next level.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Legal Tech Insider. Today, we're going to dig into your operations side of things, that back office support. And I am joined by Kristin Tyler from LAWCLERK. She's a co-founder of the awesome support group that you guys will find will be able to help with all sorts of little pieces of your firm's operations. So I like to just start off with giving you the mic here, Kristin, and tell me a little bit about how LAWCLERK became a thing. Where were you filling a void? Where did it come from?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. And so I'm an attorney in Las Vegas, Nevada, and my other co-founders at LAWCLERK are also attorneys. The three of us used to be partners at a much larger regional firm with a lot of lawyers, a lot of different specialties. And in 2015, we left that larger firm to start our own smaller boutique firm for a lot of reasons. But with the smaller firm, the things that we found that we missed the most were having just a lot of lawyers on hand. As your clients probably know, if you're gearing up for trial, if you've got discovery responses or a bunch of depositions happening at one time, there's times that you just wish you had more attorneys on your team to get the substantive legal work done. And that's really where LAWCLERK comes into play. So that was one thing we missed. And the other thing we missed was, again, the specialty knowledge. You know, at the bigger firm, I could walk down the hall and ask one of the gaming partners a question when I had an estate plan client who owned a gaming entity, or I could walk down the hall to the IP person and refer a client there. So at the smaller firm, we don't have all of those specialties down the hall. But it's nice to be able to have a way via the gig economy to tap into that specialized knowledge from time to time when you need it in an affordable, accessible way. And so in 2015, that was kind of when a lot of these marketplaces were becoming more commonplace. It suddenly was normal to get on Uber and get in a stranger's car and they'd give you a ride where you wanted to go, So like we were seeing, we were seeing these marketplaces having a lot of success in other industries. And we kind of just reached a point where we had thrown this idea around enough and we knew, okay, either we're going to take the plunge and try to build this and make it work, or someone else is going to eventually, and we're going to kick ourselves. So that was when we really decided to go for it with LAWCLERK and built the site. So that's the impetus about the why. We were trying to fill the need of, certain attorneys and firms needing help in a variety of ways at certain times. And for some of our users, that's every single day. It's an ongoing need, which is really exciting.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that I really like, as I've kind of combed through so many different great organizations and partners in the legal industry, are the organizations that actually come out of law firms or have lawyers that are founding them, because you guys really have insight into, well, this was a problem for me and I truly understand what is needed, right, to fill that void. So as you talked a little bit about, that having lawyers on hand, is there a particular practice area that you focus on, or is it applicable to all types of law firms? What about size of firm? Who's the right type of law firm that can benefit from LAWCLERK?
So there's a lot of other similar services like ours built for big law and built for in-house corporate legal departments. That's not us. We were built specifically for solo attorneys and small firms. Now, that being said, we now have a number of medium-sized firms and even very large firms that are using us, and corporate in-house legal departments, including Fortune 100 company. Anyway, so we span the whole gamut, but our sweet spot and our focus is to provide these tools to solos and small firms. Now, when it comes to practice areas, I wish there was like one or two that we could focus on, but we see everything. We've seen horse racing law and aviation law and everything in between. But, the big ones that we see, of course, are all sorts of litigation, a lot of personal injury work, class action, a lot of appellate work, business law, criminal, immigration, family law, estate planning, real estate. I mean, we really see it all. And so the amazing thing is that with our network of thousands of freelance lawyers all across the country, we have that deep knowledge and expertise in a wide variety of practice areas.
Okay, awesome. So with back office support, a lot of times people think, okay, well, I can get a paralegal, or you see a lot of these firms that are maybe litigation firms that are running very high volume caseloads because they've hired 3 to 5 paralegals, right, who are doing everything. It sounds like all of your staff are JDs, actual lawyers, right? So is that the case? Is it, and what are the specific, maybe give me the top 3 items that people are using your lawyers for their back office support?
Sure. Yeah. All of our freelancers. All of our freelancers are attorneys, and we get that question a lot. Do you have paralegals? No, we only have attorneys. There's, if you're looking for outsourced virtual resources for the whole spectrum of your back office, you can find that these days. And we're a piece of that when it comes to the substantive legal work. And so, the top areas that we see attorneys using our freelancers to get work done would be, of course, legal research, drafting documents, any sort of document, whether that's a demand letter, a complaint, an appellate brief, a settlement agreement, a deed, any sort of document. And then also help with discovery. Discovery is, I'm sure can be incredibly time consuming. One user that we had recently worked with not 1, but 5 of our freelancers over a course of 4 months. He's a solo attorney in California, was handling class action claims on behalf of some families impacted by wildfires in California. And he had to submit claims on behalf of his 2,300 clients in just a few months. And that's where he pulled in our freelance lawyers so that they could be on the team to look at these files and build up the cases and get those filled. So we're there for all of the written work. And we don't do, as of right now, we don't do any appearance work. So our freelancers are not going to go to court for you. They're not going to take depositions. That's really what your client hires you to do. They want you there to shine those important moments of the case. And they really most often could care less if you're delegating some of the more time consuming written work that has to happen in the background, because they trust you to quarterback your case and get that done.
No, absolutely. So I think that's a big distinction, though, because a lot of times when firms start to think about outsourcing some of their operational items, they go straight to VA. That's like the big hot word right now, right? And even if you have these VAs that are trained overseas or even in the US, I think a big piece of this puzzle is that it is an actual JD that's doing the work, and it's not just anybody, right? That's just been like trained. So that is a really cool piece of the product that I think makes you guys stand out really well in the back office support system. And then you mentioned that all practice areas can basically use you, but every state has its own bar, its own ethics, all sorts of different nuances. So how do you guys line up for servicing firms across the country? Do you have freelancers in every state, barred everywhere, or how does that work?
We do. I'm really proud of that. We've grown quickly, and we do have freelance lawyers in all 50 states.
Wow.
Not to give an ethics seminar, but if anybody wants to know the nitty-gritty details of your state and how our model works in your state, we have a white paper on our homepage down in the footer that you can click and find your state. But the short answer is that our secret sauce is that our business model complies with the ABA model rules and the ethics rules of all 50 states. Because, and this is really important, we limit the scope of work that our freelance lawyers can do for you to being equivalent to a paraprofessional. So like a paralegal. And that's why it's key that they don't do depositions. They don't go to court for you, because those actions would cause them to engage in the practice of law. Whereas if they're doing the written work for you in the background and under your supervision, that's key, then that keeps all of you ethically compliant, because they're going to draft the document, you're going to review it, edit it, and you're going to file it under your name. They are not actually engaging in the practice of law. So that is the ethics in a nutshell.
That is fantastic. And I will make sure to get that white paper and link it even with this video here below. Fantastic. So if you guys are interested in what she just talked about, it's right below here. And you can click on that very quickly, or you can always go to lawclerk.legal, their website, and make sure that you can see all the resources there. Okay, so that's awesome. So you can service every state. You can service just about any practice area, and it sounds like size 2, but you started with the solos and the small firms. How do you define up to small firm? Is that 5 lawyers? And what is the metric for when you think you need to hire outside? What's your caseload? What does that look like?
Sure. Well, it's different for everyone, but our sweet spot is firms of 5 attorneys or fewer is where we've really emerged. But when you look at the legal market, 70% of lawyers in the country are solos or in small firms. So it really is the majority of the legal market. And again, so many tools are built for big law, and often the small firms get ignored, even though they really need that. And so that's something that we've really been committed to. But And the second part of your question, I'm sorry. It was, do you remember?
Just I know a lot of people with the metrics. So they'll say, well, when should I start digital marketing? When should I hire this? Right. So like, what is their case volume look like? What does their life look like when they should maybe call LAWCLERK?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the cool thing about our service is that we offer project-based work, just one piece of work at a time. So maybe you're not quite ready to take on a full-time associate or even a part-time associate. That's fine. But you have one piece of work that is challenging for you, or that you just don't have time to get done yourself. Maybe you're in trial next week, but you have this huge appellate brief due in 3 weeks. That's the perfect time to log into your LAWCLERK account and get someone to help draft that brief for you to free up your time to focus on trial and probably meeting with new clients along the way too. So that's one instance where project-based work could be very helpful. If you are at the point where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm staying up till 2 a.m. every night working, I know I need help. Like, my best advice to you as an attorney, as a partner at my firm, is now a legal tech entrepreneur, is get the help that you need sooner than you think. You won't regret it. Trying to do all the things yourself is not sustainable over the long term, and it's just going to put you in the fast track to burnout. And so if any of you watching know me in real life, you're going to be laughing now because I'm not good at this, although I'm getting better. I actually just hired my own virtual associate through LAWCLERK. I'm very excited about this to help me on some of my cases, but get the help you need sooner. It's going to help you grow. It's going to help you focus on the things that you should be doing. And the things that you should be doing are the things that are going to help grow your firm, grow your business, and that you enjoy. At the end of the day, if you never want to draft another set of answers to interrogatories, God bless, go for it. You can delegate that to someone else. And the good news is that there are so many different resources to hire nowadays because of how legal has adapted to working remotely. You can make that traditional in-office hire full-time, part-time, or you can look at virtual associates through companies like ours, again, either on a project basis, a part-time basis, or even a full-time basis.
Okay, perfect. And I couldn't agree more. I always think that when you get to that, I've been in business for about 2 to 5 years, 2 to 3 years even, and you need to take it to that next step. You're trying to double that revenue. The biggest thing that holds firms down, especially those small firms, is delegating. It's not being able to pick out the things I do love to do and making sure I'm just working on my business, not in my business. So everything you just said is so important, and it's nice if it can be systematized, right? So let's talk about process with you guys. You mentioned that there is an account. You can log into your account and you can say, this is what I need help with. So is there some sort of subscription based where you can say you have to be retaining you guys monthly, whether you use a system or not, or use a service or not? How does that work when you want to get
started? Walk you through the economics. So first off, to have an account with us, there's no fee to sign up and there's no monthly fee. So unlike a lot of other services like maybe you have where you're paying every month, whether you use it or not, we're not like that. So free to join. And I always say, there's no time like the present to just log in, make your account. That way it's ready to go when you're ready to get help. So once you've done that, there's 2 ways to get help. You can either post work on a project by project basis, and all of that work is done on a flat fee. So you basically log into your account and you say, hey, I need this an memo on this issue, within a week, and I'm willing to pay $500. Okay, flat fee. If you are a hourly billing attorney, you're still going to get an hourly report from the freelancer. And so then you are able to bill their time worked back to your client at a reasonable market rate. If you're a contingency fee lawyer, flat fee lawyer, then obviously you're going to price that flat fee accordingly to make sure that it's in line with your economics on the case. But so project work is done on a flat fee price set by the hiring attorney. It's not up for negotiation or bartering. That's option 1. Option 2, if you need more ongoing help, we do have a subscription-based program that launched last year. With the subscription program, an attorney can get anywhere from 20 hours to 160 hours of help a month every 4 weeks. And there are 3 different hourly rates that you're going to pay for that, depending on the type of virtual associate that you need. Do you need a newbie to help with discovery and research? Do you need a more senior experienced attorney to help with strategy and writing really complex motions? So whatever that is, we have 3 different pricing levels right now. I anticipate that some more will get added on, but it's just hourly. That's what you pay. We pay the freelancer. We 1099 them for you. It's really a smooth process that takes a lot of that traditional hassle out of hiring.
Wow. So I love that. And then in terms of, I like that you get to set kind of your price schedule or what you're willing to pay. Let's say I get an awesome freelancer who's connected to me. They do the work. I want to use that same freelancer again. Can I request the same person again, or do I just get a random every time? How does that work?
No, every time you get to pick who you work with. So once you post the work, you get to review the applicants and you get to select. It's not us forcing you to work with a certain person, but yeah, when you find someone who's talented that you like, you can add them to what we call your team. It's like favoriting them and adding them to your team, your bench. And so in the future, if you have work that you'd like them to do, you can send it to them first. And if they're available, great. If they're not, you'll also get a notification back so you can send it to someone else on your team or post it to the general marketplace.
Okay. And does all of the communication have to take place within this portal, or are they given their contact information to communicate outside? How does that work?
Yeah. So once they are matched up, you are given the direct communication information. And the reason for that is we know that for outsourcing and delegating to work, you've got to have effective communication. And maybe for you live on email and you want to email. You don't want to log into our portal and message them. Fine. That's why we give you their email. I know for me, I have, the freelancers that are on my team that I like, I have their phone numbers. And when I have something I need them to do, I usually text them and say, hey, I have this, whatever document I need written like by Friday. Yeah. That's, Thursday at noon. No, I don't do that. But, I'll text them and say, hey, this is what I've got. This is what I need it by. Can you do it? And if so, I kind of ask them directly, like, how much would you want for it? Because now we have that relationship. It's evolved to that. But for people who aren't sure how to pay or they aren't sure who to work with, we do also give every attorney who makes an account an advisor. So your dedicated law clerk advisor is kind of like your concierge. They're going to be there to help you price projects appropriately, to get the right talent, and to, select the best freelancer if you're debating between the top 2 or 3. So that advisor is really a great resource. It's a free service included with every account. And they're awesome because each of them works with a couple hundred lawyers nationwide. And so they see the people that are really rock stars with delegating and doing it well and making a lot of money along the way.
Very nice. And then the advisors, I assume, since it is a program, it's technology. There's a lot of lawyers out there who do not like technology. Let's say they need some help getting set up with the account, or they have some sort of glitch that's happening. Is it their advisor that they go to? Is there like a library for support help?
Exactly. It would be their advisor if they need help to prevent. How do I change my credit card for payment, or, whatever the issue might be? Absolutely. Their advisor can help. And we also, for any lawyers watching that are like, oh, technology scares me, I don't know how this works. What I would say there is that the site was built by lawyers for lawyers. We purposely tried to eliminate any hurdle imaginable, because we know the second you come up on something that's frustrating and challenging in the system, you're going to be like, forget it, I'll do it myself. So we really have built a clean, streamlined system to operate. But if you would like, some attorneys do have either maybe their own associate or their assistant who also has access to log into the account and kind of manage the workflow. And you can add a second person onto the account for notification purposes for the emails, so that they get notified when the freelancer uploads a draft document, and they can, log in, print it for you to review, and then send those edits back. So very common that some attorneys, if you have that right-hand person, be it another attorney or an assistant, they can help you manage that account, but the account has to be in the attorney's name.
Okay. All right. We usually do a little bit on the company itself and kind of your advisors. For you guys, a lot of your employees are the freelancers. And so it's interesting because these are folks that they're going to engage with directly, but they're really just doing service, versus some companies, you want the most bright, happy person when you have to talk to them, right? You want a nice customer support. The culture is so important to the client. With you guys, it almost seems like, that culture doesn't have to be as well-rounded with freelancers who are just doing their work. But when you do hiring, your hiring process for the freelancers, are there any kinds of trainings that they go through? Is there anything that you guys do as a team, things that you do to kind of keep those freelancers wanting to be law firm
Yeah.
freelancers or
Sure. There are a few things that we do because we know that if the freelancer does good work, it's going to not only make them look good and get more work in the future, but it's good for our company too. So every freelance lawyer, and keep in mind there are lawyers, when they join and sign on, they go through an onboarding process. They have their own advisor in a different role, but for the freelancers.
Great.
And so we offer a lot of coaching and guidance to them on best practices when it comes to communication, meeting deadlines, asking questions. We encourage them, hey, if you've asked your attorney a question and you haven't heard back in a day, like you need to ask again. Don't just wait. You've got to chase them down because we know that all of these hiring attorneys out there are super busy. So we have a number of best practices that we go through with all of our new freelancers to try to set them up for success.
Okay, great. That is excellent. I think a lot of times when you do get that perfect freelancer who's done the great work for you and you want to make sure that you can go back and use them 2 months from now, that you want to make sure that the company you're working with, right, is training them and doing. So that's nice to hear, especially because it doesn't necessarily need to be a thing you do as a business owner, right? Like, hey, I got these freelancers, we got a bunch of them hired. So that is really nice to hear. If you had to say there were one or two things that separate you guys from other companies that are similar to yours, what are those 2 items that make you guys stand out among your competition?
Sure. The thing that makes us stand out is that we are nationwide. I am not aware of any other outsourced legal service that's focused on solo and small firms that has a presence in all 50 states. There's a lot of other smaller companies that are by state or by region. Some are even by city, but we are nationwide. And so that's something that's really set us forward. And the fact that we have found a business model that allows attorneys to help each other with a lot of work, but still keep them ethically compliant is really the other secret weapon.
Okay. No, awesome. And I truly don't know of any other company that can say 50 states covered for their having JD freelancers. That's really impressive. Even more impressive to say, how long have you guys been around and how long have you been servicing law firms and how many law firms are you guys working with across the country?
I mean, thousands. I'm not allowed to say the number publicly, but we launched in January of 2018 and we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of lawyers on the site. It's crazy.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
We started out in 2018. There was the 3 co-founders and 1 employee. We hired another one the end of that year. So there's 5. Of course, we had a number of outsourced professionals that we did work with in building the company, but we now, I think, are around 30 employees. We're a distributed workforce nationwide. Really exciting to see that growth, and it will continue through this year. So it's every day is an adventure. It's a lot of fun.
And you are still practicing law in your law firm as well, or are you more managing the law firm while kind of dabbling in this as well? Which one is more the passion?
Yeah, both, because I'm a partner. Our firm has 16 lawyers and I run the estate planning and probate practice. So I've scaled it back. I don't have near the volume I used to. Really on the estate planning side, I am just servicing existing clients that are coming back for, changes, updates, life happens. And mainly because I've gotten to know them and kind of part of the family. I genuinely love my clients. They're interesting people. The vast majority of them are very kind. Of course, there's a few bad apples, but, and so I enjoy that practice a lot and feel close to my clients. So that's hard to walk away from. And then I keep a handful of probates going too, because I've got, a team of associates and paralegals that depend on that work. So I like to keep that pipeline going. But yeah, my focus is definitely LAWCLERK. That's the baby that gets all the attention right now. And the days fly by. So
I love it. A lot of the folks who are going to be watching these particular episodes, legal and tech, are those lawyers out there who enjoy the practice of law, but really like the management side, are even thinking about starting their own kind of digital or tech companies to help other lawyers. So there's a lot of folks like you, and I think that it's really great that they could be able to even connect with the founder of LAWCLERK on a different level, right? Let's talk about law firms and growing them, or any kind of resource level like that. So if you're willing to provide your contact information for people to reach out with any kinds of questions, that would be great. And then I'll also include it below the video as well.
Yeah, sure. You can get me on LinkedIn, Twitter at Kristin Tyler, and then my email here, which I'll just tell you right now, I'm really bad at email. I'm slow. Have to keep up with it on the law firm side, but the law clerk side gets a little neglected sometimes. Just going to say that, but it's K Tyler at.
It's honest.
Yeah, I've decided that's just what I'm doing here. I'm just going to own up to the fact that I'm not good at email.
So would we say that LinkedIn is actually where you will get a quicker response? You actually keep up with your LinkedIn inbox? Yeah. Wow, I've seen LinkedIn kind of take off, but then I think there's like two worlds. There's the people who get a million inbox messages and never check in or log in, and I may be one of those people. And then there's the people who actually engage with it and have found that it really connects you, especially with estate planning. I know that there's a lot of folks that use it for referral relationships and building.
For sure. I feel like I have a whole network of estate planners on social media that most of them I've never met in real life, but we all refer each other matters. So yeah.
Very cool. So I'm going to just wrap up at the end here with some fun stuff. So I'd like to ask a couple of just outside the box questions. Let's see, I have been able to meet you in person at a conference before, which I know that I see the booth for a law clerk a lot of times as well. So people may have seen this brand, but never really, the lawyers are not walking up to these booths a lot of times, may have never been able to say, oh, shoot, that's what they do. So that's great. And do you travel often to conferences or just kind of when they're in your neck of the woods? How does that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, in 2019, my very small team of myself and one other guy primarily went to 90 legal events that year. So, and then this little pandemic happened. I don't know if you heard about that, but so I came to a crashing halt, but we've got quite a few things on our schedule this year. We're cautiously optimistic that we can get back out and talk to lawyers because that really is the best way face-to-face for us to connect with some of these folks and get to know what their needs are and if LawClerk can help out with those. So yeah, we're planning to be at the ABA Tech Show, planning to be at Clio later this year, planning to be at a lot of, smaller state bar and different specialty bar type events. So keep an eye, we might be out there.
Yeah, very cool. So if you are to be found at a place at a conference, where exactly are you usually found?
I am probably generally stuck to the booth. It's okay. Yeah, that's me. But I'm there handing out the squishy sharks. Do you remember the first year where we met you guys and we had
the pink ones? Yeah,
so funny.
I did. My kid still has his pink LawClerk shark and loves it. So I like to ask that question because a lot of times there's a lot of different answers. Oh, I'm at the pool at the cabana the whole time.
Oh, well, I wish I was at the spa. Maybe another year or two. Like, let's go.
Yeah, come talk to me in the sauna. Okay, and then bucket list items. I like to hear what, it kind of tells me what people are passionate about. So what is a bucket list item that you have crossed off? And what is a bucket list item that you really want to get to at some point in the next 2 to 5 years?
Okay. Bucket list item I've crossed off. I always wanted to ride in a hot air balloon. Because we had a family friend growing up that had a hot air balloon, but they always said I was too little to go. And so my husband took me as a surprise in Napa wine country one year, and it was incredible. So that was a great,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Another bucket list. I don't know why I have this. I hate being cold. I live in Las Vegas. I hate being cold, but I have this weird fascination with Antarctica, and I would really like to travel to all 7 continents and especially to Antarctica. So that's a bucket list item. I'm going to stay within the next 10 years. I think I've got my son talked into going with me, but he's only 10 right now. I want him to get a little bit older. So.
Okay. That's very exciting. So one, I think hot air balloons are beautiful, but I'm not afraid of heights, but I think I'd be afraid to be in one. What if it popped? Like, I don't trust the air. I don't trust the world. But I think they're beautiful. And then 2, I actually had a friend that went to Antarctica recently. They did this ridiculous honeymoon situation. Wow. And that was like one of the places they wanted to choose because they are wanting to hit the 7 continents as well. Yep. And it was interesting because I think hopefully in 10 years too, there's like this one runway that you can land on and there's like this one area you can go to. There might be some other stuff to see if we wait a little bit longer. Yeah. Well, there's a boat cruise that goes from the southern tip of South America over and back. And I know 2 people personally that have done that and had a great experience. So maybe both, but I get a little seasick. So That is a very cool bucket list item. I love hearing the different things that people want to do, and that is very different. So I will wrap up here. Thank you so much for your time today. Was there anything that I didn't get a chance to ask about that could be helpful for folks who are struggling with keeping up with things and maybe could use LawClerk's help, that would be helpful for them to hear at the end here? Or
I think we covered all the big stuff. I think the only thing that maybe I didn't touch at some point was I get a lot of people that say, well, who are all these freelancers? And, why can't they get a real job? And my response to that is always, well, what is a real job in legal anymore anyways? And the fact of the matter is that, a statistic came out last week that almost 23% of associates quit last year for a whole lot of reasons. And, the big law apparatus system produces an oversupply of really talented lawyers. So there's a lot of really talented, really smart lawyers out there who don't have that traditional firm job for a lot of reasons. We've got military spouses, we've got people taking care of sick parents or kids. We've got people that they want to live on the beach in Costa Rica and freelance enough to pay for, their weekly coffee, whatever. So the oversupply of lawyers out there with deep knowledge, lots of skill that want to freelance is such a powerful resource that if you're struggling and you need help, you might as well tap into it. It's flexible, it's affordable, very accessible, thanks to LawClerk. You really have nothing to lose.
That's a really great point. One of the questions that we always get is, where's your content coming from? And a lot of our content writers are actually JDs that are contractors across the country. And I do get the question, how did you find JDs to write content for websites, right? And it's a lot of times they're stay-at-home moms now, very out of the practice of law, but if I can do something from my home, why not, right? We saw that across a lot of industries too, but I know that a lot of lawyers felt that because lawyers were able to say, I don't have to drive 2 hours to come into the office anymore. I think that I wield the power here. If you want me, you pay me more. If you don't, I will go do something else that will get me paid too, right? Exactly. So that is an excellent point. And as long as the quality of the work is good, right? That's where LawClerk has been able to expand and scale so well. Obviously, the freelancers are doing a good job. So that's excellent information. I learned a lot today too. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to spend some time with us and educate us on LawClerk.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristin.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of the Legal Tech Insider. Don't forget to stay tuned for new episodes and fresh insights by subscribing to our show on all of your favorite streaming platforms.